If you want to make life-changing money in sales, then this might be the most important video that you've watched this year, because in order to make life-changing money in sales, you need a combination of just two things. Number one, you need to sell for a great company, which is what we covered in my last YouTube video. But secondly, you need a good skill level. You need to know how to consistently close deals, and specifically, you need to know the deep psychology behind why somebody would actually buy from you. Why would somebody spend tens of thousands of dollars with you? This is the knowledge that we're about to cover, and this is the knowledge that has allowed me to close millions of dollars in deals in the last few years alone, as well as have multiple clients doing 10, 20, 30,000 a month, even beyond very consistently. So I'm incredibly excited. We've got a document we're about to dive into. We're about to go into the psychology behind why people buy, and this is knowledge that is going to last you for a lifetime and make you a ton of money in sales and beyond into your future endeavors. Let's dive in. Now guys, just before we dive in, for those of you that are new to the channel, to whom I'm just a stranger on the internet, then here's a quick bit of context. My name is Scott Parsons. In the last few years alone, I've closed millions of dollars in high ticket deals, 4 million to be specific, selling for some of the biggest names in the industry. For example, Charlie Morgan, like what you're seeing on your screen there. Now that success led me to creating a sales training and recruitment business that helps salespeople like you to land remote sales roles with top tier AI companies that sell high ticket AI solutions to B2B markets. We use our recruitment network and process to get them into a great role, and then we use our training process to ensure that they close deals, which by the way are typically worth 2,000 to 6,000 in commissions in this space. We get them closing those kind of deals weekly, even multiple times per week. So with that being said, oh, and by the way, not to forget about the returning viewers, you guys who consistently watch my videos. I absolutely love you guys and I appreciate you. Let's dive in. So I put here that in this space, we're selling very premium, very high ticket AI solutions, which are most often priced between $20,000 to $40,000. That's just average. You know, you might be selling something that's 10K. I've had clients that have closed deals for up to $100,000, but 20 to 40,000 is about average. However, even if you're not selling in the AI space and don't intend to, this video is still absolutely going to apply to you, because we're going to cover the deep psychology behind why somebody actually buys from you. And when you know this, you're going to be able to effortlessly close deals and ultimately just reach your income and lifestyle goals. So with that in mind, we are selling to, in this space specifically, very cash-rich business owners. There is a lot of psychology that goes into this, guys, a lot, okay? And you really, in order for you to make the kind of money that you want to make and live the life that you want, you have to know the deep psychology behind why somebody will actually buy from you. And this is something I always say to my clients that we're working with. I say that you understanding this, the foundations, the psychology behind why people buy, this is the what's called the Pareto principle. This is the 20% of effort that will account for 80% of your results, is your understanding and application of the fundamental psychology behind why people buy, okay? This is what's going to allow you to consistently close deals, whether that's in the AI industry, which, by the way, you should be doing. AI industry is just the best industry to sell in. But even if it's not, this is what is going to allow you to consistently close high ticket deals. So, and it's obviously important for you to know exactly how to run a sales process. So this is more like the scripting, the word tracks, things like that. That stuff's absolutely important, and we cover it both on this channel and very in depth with my clients. But again, this here, what we're about to go into, the psychology behind it, is it's near everything, okay? So with that being said, let's dive in. So there's a couple of principles which I want to run you through essentially. Principle one, I call the inspiration-desperation matrix. Now, to explain this, I want you to think about this. When you really look at it, human beings don't like to change, right? We don't, because we have a deeply ingrained biological survival mechanism that doesn't like us to change. Why? Because change can equal danger, and danger is a survival risk. Our bodies are ultimately mechanisms for survival. That's number one priority. Without survival, nothing else matters. So what that means is that most humans are naturally risk averse. To differing levels, you'll get some people which are very risk tolerant. You'll get other people which are very anti-risk. Everybody's different in that sense. But generally speaking, humans are risk averse, okay? And most humans do not like making commitments in the form of time or money. Now, if I'm saying all this, if all this is true, right, if humans don't like to change, if humans are risk averse, if they don't like making commitments in the form of time or money, then why on earth would somebody ever spend thousands, let alone tens of thousands of dollars with you, if that's the case? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The reason somebody would spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars with you is for one or both of the below reasons. Number one, inspiration, which you could also call desire. A deeply compelling, all-consuming desire to bring a certain vision, outcome, goal into existence. So for example, clients that join me and our training and recruitment business, they have a vision of being financially free while being able to be remote and maybe travel the world and and have all the good things that come with that. That's inspiration. That's a desire. But on the flip side to that, you've also got desperation, which you could also call pain, which can be categorized as a highly painful, desperate situation that they need to change as soon as possible. So, for example, client comes to us in our training and recruitment business. They've just lost their job, for example. They've got a couple of months worth of savings, and if they don't do something urgently, then things are going to get very, very bad. That's a painful, desperate situation that they need to get out of, okay? So, but it's very important that because this is fairly well known, right? Yeah, pain and desire in sales is important, but what a lot of sales trainers miss, in my opinion, is that pain and desire is actually like a spectrum. It's not binary. It's not a thing where somebody has pain or desire or they don't. It's more like a spectrum. So I coined this term the inspiration-desperation matrix. On the left-hand side there, you'll see low inspiration, low desperation. So in other words, you'll see low desire, low pain. On the right-hand side, you'll see high inspiration, high desperation. So high desire, high pain. And well, let's dive into it. But essentially, what you don't have too much control over a prospect that joins your call. You don't have too much control over whereabouts on the spectrum they are. In other words, like when they show up to the call, you don't have much control over how much pain and desire that they have. Now, sure, the companies will do things in marketing, in pre-call to maybe enhance their pain and desire, the good ones at least anyway, who know what they're doing, they'll do that. But you as a salesperson don't have too much control over that, okay? But what you do have control over is where they are at on the spectrum by the end of the call with you. So let's say that somebody starts the call kind of over here, right? You, through your masterful sales process, and by the way, what all masterful salespeople do, whether they know this consciously or not, what they do is they nudge the prospect along the spectrum. In other words, they nudge them further into a heightened state of pain and desire. And the more pain and desire there is, the more likely that that person is going to buy from you. Now, importantly, purchases and transfers of thousands of dollars, even tens of thousands of dollars, does not happen in the middle and the left-hand side. What I mean by that is these kind of big purchases do not happen when somebody is in a low pain, low desire state. If we want to sell something which is a significant investment, it's a significant percentage of a prospect's net worth, they need to be in a high pain, high desire state. And through your sales process, your goal is to nudge them further into a high pain, high desire state. But again, high ticket sales do not get closed in low pain, low desire states towards the left side of the spectrum. Now, as I said, here is the absolute key. What a masterful salesperson does, the guys that make the big money, again, whether they know this consciously or not, what they do is nudge the prospect along the matrix, nudge them along the spectrum further into a high pain, high desire state. Now, how they do this is a whole deep topic, and I've got plenty of other videos on the channel where we cover the sales process specifically. But ultimately, in a nutshell, it's through the use of skilled questioning. We cover this massively in depth with my clients through the training program, which, by the way, there's a link in the description. You should probably go and click that. My friend. If you like money, if you like making 10, 30,000 a month plus while selling in a booming industry, then yeah, maybe consider clicking the link in the description, my friend. But moving on. The buying point, very important concept to understand. The buying point states that the higher your price point of what you're selling is relevant to the prospect's net worth, the further along the spectrum they will need to be in order to buy, and inverse as well. So in other words, the higher that your price point is relevant to their net worth, the more pain and desire that they need to be in order to buy. So there's a buying point, and it can be vary between individuals. Like we said earlier, some individuals are more risk tolerant, some of them are more anti-risk. So everybody's got their own kind of buying point, which you don't have much control over. That's through things like genetics, it's through how they were raised, what they were taught as a young child about money and risk, and you can't really control where the buying point is for each individual. But you can control moving them along the spectrum into a further high pain, high desire state. Now, if this is not making sense, it will do in just a second. Let me explain. So as it comes to a buying point, now let's say that, for example, I've recently taken up basketball as a part-time hobby, which, by the way, I haven't, but let's say that I did. I don't actually mind basketball, but anyways. Now, let's say that in this hypothetical scenario, I'm in no real pain in this context. I've just taken up basketball. It's just a bit of a hobby. Yes, I have a slight bit of desire to improve my basketball skills. Now let's say, but I'm in no real pain, by the way, a little bit of desire, not that much pain at all. And now let's say that I'm hit with some kind of online advert, which are selling me an ebook or some kind of low ticket course for $4. Now I may well still go ahead and buy that ebook or that course. Even though I'm in practically no pain, a little bit of desire, I still might buy it. Why? Because the price point is very insignificant relevant to my net worth. But let's say, same situation, part-time hobby basketball, no pain, little bit of desire. Let's say that I'm hit with an advert for a full-fledged like course, coaching, consulting program to improve my basketball skills, and it's a price point of $8,000. Well, best believe that buying point will be much further along the spectrum. So the $4 ebook, the buying point is maybe here. If I hit enough pain and desire, and I'm hit with the right kind of ad, with the right messaging, I might go ahead and take some action and spend money. The buying point might be over here. But the second it's $8,000, boom, I've got to be all the way over here in order for me to buy. Okay, very, very important. So that's the buying point. So remember that pain and desire is a spectrum. Prospects show up to your call in differing states of pain and desire, which you don't have much control over, but your job as a masterful salesperson, if you want to make the big money, is to nudge them further along the spectrum into a heightened state of pain and desire. And so, on to the next principle. Very, very important what we're about to cover. Very important for you to making the big money and living the life that you want. Principle 2, the 4 things that make a buyer. This has to become ingrained in your mind. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is. If you're in any way in sales or would like to be, so important what we're about to go through. The 4 things that make a buyer. Number 1, the most important, the foundation behind everything, the desire to change. Now, as a thinking exercise, guys, I want you to think about this. When somebody buys something, again, especially for a significant amount of their net worth, think about it. What are they ultimately buying? Okay. Now, let's say that you sell an AI service, right? And I ask you, what are you selling? And you say, well, I'm selling an AI service, right? But that's surface layer. Some people might go a level deeper and say, well, I'm selling an outcome, some kind of goal. I'm selling them more money, more time. Again, a goal. Like, that is true. It's deeper, it's closer, but it's still not quite there. Because if we simplify that even further and get to the deepest level, when somebody buys something from you, what they are buying is change. Any sale that has ever been made on planet Earth throughout our entire human history has always been because that person wanted some form of change in their life or their business. So important to ingrain this in your subconscious mind, that what you are selling is change at all times, no matter what you sell, whether it's AI services, agency services, coaching programs, whatever it might be, doesn't matter. You are always selling change, okay? And we're going to get a bit deeper into this in just a second. But, we can talk about whether they want that change out of inspiration, so desire, or whether they want that out of desperation, pain, or both is the most ideal. You want to have prospects which have high pain and high desire. We could talk about why they want that change, but ultimately what they do want is change. They want some form of change in their life or their business. Again, so key to ingrain this in your mind. People buy change. They're not buying an AI agent. They're not buying an AI software. They are buying the product and service that facilitates an outcome that they want. In other words, they are buying change. And this is so important to understand because no desire for change equals no sale, which equals no money in your pocket. Okay, so remember the inspiration-desperation matrix from earlier on, and also remember that what a masterful salesperson does is nudge the prospect further into a high-pain, high-desire state and increases their likelihood of buying. So you can also think of it like a video game. It's kind of how I like to visualize it sometimes. Like if you guys have ever played video games, your character has like a health bar. If you get hit or something, your health bar goes down. If you do something good, it goes up. You can kind of think about desire for change like that. So the left-hand bar represents a prospect's desire for change when they first get onto the call with you. The right-hand bar represents a prospect's desire for change by the end of the call with you, by the end of your masterful sales process. As you can see, we have increased their desire for change, which has increased their likelihood of purchasing from you. Now, some prospects will come to your calls already in a state of needing change, like urgently. And these are what we call lay down leads, okay? They come to your calls, they're already in a high pain state, they're already in a high desire state. Maybe they already trust you and the company that you sell for. And these are what we call lay down leads because they're easy to close. They were already, as long as you don't just completely mess it up, they're going to buy from you, okay? But the thing is that this is the minority of people who show up in already a massive state of wanting change. And we can't rely on just waiting for those people to show up, those people who are lay down leads. If we want to make the money that we want to make, the big numbers, the 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40 and beyond, we need to have the ability with all prospects to increase their desire for change throughout the process, throughout their time and your sales process. Now, how we do this, how we increase their desire for change is through the use of skilled questioning and pitching, which I have other videos on this channel where we dive deep into the discovery process, pitching process. Obviously, with my clients, we go like crazy in depth into this kind of thing. But this is, for now, is more about the psychology behind it, because this is the thing. If I can get somebody to understand the psychology behind why people buy, then they will always know what to do. They will never need a script again. Now I give out scripts. I like scripts. I try to move away from them and have natural human conversations. But I think in the beginning stages, scripts are valuable. But with that being said, again, like, if you know why people buy, you don't need a script. You're always going to know the right words are going to come to you if you understand these principles that we're going into now. So what you have to ingrain in your brain is that with all I do on the call, I am looking to increase this person's desire for change. That is it. Remember, what you are ultimately selling is change, and through the use of skilled questioning and pitching, you are going to heighten their desire for change. So the desire for change is the foundation behind everything, right? It's like if you have like a house of cards, or you have maybe like a Jenga tower, the desire for change is that bottom layer. It's the foundation behind everything. No desire for change equals no sale. If you have no desire for change, then nothing else matters. They could be perfectly suited to the service and product that you're selling. They could have an abundance of money and easily afford it, but it doesn't matter. If they don't have desire for change, they're not going to buy. Okay, remember, without desire for change, no sale can be made. But now this is the most important foundational ingredient, is a desire for change. But there are more important ingredients, okay? So the second ingredient that you need to make a sale is a desire for change now, okay? Very, very important. This is going to make sense in just a second. So now that you understand that what you're selling is change, and you understand that a sale cannot be made unless the prospect has a desire for change, and you also understand that desire for change comes on a spectrum of pain and desire. But the thing is, the desire for change by itself won't necessarily close the deal, because the prospect has to also want the change now. Not tomorrow, not in 6 months, not in a couple of years. They have to want that change now. Now, I'm going to give you an example that's going to perfectly illustrate this, and it will make sense to you. Now, scenario one, hypothetical. Let's say that you wake up one day and you've got a bit of a minor headache. Like, it's noticeable, it's kind of annoying, it's slightly painful, but it's not like you're in this crazy state of pain where you can't do or think about anything else. Now, in that scenario, this mild headache, are you going to get in your car, drive maybe 20 minutes to the pharmacy, and get something to fix your headache? Well, you might, but you also might not. The chances of you taking action, i.e. driving to the shop and purchasing something to get rid of the headache, are lower because it's only a slight headache. It's only a little bit of pain. Now, contrast this with scenario two, where in this scenario, you wake up one day, but this time it's like a pounding headache. Like, it hurts, it's painful, you can't think or do anything else because the headache is just so bad. Now, in that scenario, are you going to get in your car, drive 20 minutes, and purchase something that's going to get rid of the headache? Absolutely, you would. You would do whatever it takes. Why? Because the headache is so bad and you're in so much pain that you have to change your situation now. Not tomorrow, not 6 months, but right now. Now, here's where it gets key. Think about this. In scenario one, the person might genuinely want to change. They have this mild headache and they would rather not have this lingering headache. They want change. But here's the thing. The pain isn't so bad that they'll take action right now by getting in the car, driving to the shop, etc. This is such an important point to understand, because you may have a prospect who genuinely does have a desire for change. But if they are not deep enough along the spectrum, they are not deep enough into a high pain, high desire state, that they might not want to change now. And your job as a masterful salesperson is to nudge them further into a state where they both want to change and want to change now. Masterful salespeople, the guys that make the big money, create a heightened state of urgency. They not only heighten the prospect's desire for change, but they also heighten the prospect's desire to change right now. Okay, very, very important. Third ingredient for somebody to be a buyer, they have to trust your system/process. Now, as we mentioned before, there are 4 things that make somebody a buyer, 4 crucial ingredients that you need in order to make a sale, especially a high-ticket sale. You need all of them in order to close somebody, okay? Like I said, desire for change is the raw foundation, but you do need all 4 ingredients. So now we understand that for somebody to buy a high-ticket product and service from you, they must want to change. They must want to change now. But again, it's not enough in of itself. They have to trust your system and process. So let me give you a practical example. Let's say that I'm massively overweight. And by the way, I'm not, but let's say that I was. And I want to urgently lose weight. So in this scenario, I want to change. I'm in a high pain, high desire state. I do want to change now. So I reach out to a fitness coach, a personal trainer, in order to get help with my weight loss. So I jump on a sales call with this fitness coach and they explain their system and process. You could also call it their methodology, the way that they get their clients' results, the system process. So they explain their system and process to me, but their system and process that they use with their clients to achieve weight loss is called the Atkins diet. And let's say in this hypothetical scenario, I've tried the Atkins diet before. I hated it. It didn't work. I didn't lose the weight. I found it difficult to stick to. It made me feel terrible. And ultimately, I didn't even get the result. Now, in this scenario, that fitness coach is going to have a very tough and frankly a very unlikely job of closing me and getting me to buy. Why? Now, think about this. Really important. Even though I do want to change, now. I've got high pain, I've got high desire, I've got urgency, I've got all the other ingredients we spoke about. But the thing is, I do not, in this scenario, trust his system/process for achieving the change that I want. Now, the person can want change, they can want change now, but ultimately, if we know that at the raw foundation, what they are buying from you is changed, then they have to trust and believe that what you are selling will get them the change that they want. Again, you are ultimately selling change, so they have to believe that it will get them that change that they want. Now, this is a diagram that I give to my clients within the training program. On the left-hand side, you see our stick man who's in his current painful state. Apologies for my terrible primary school drawing, but on the right-hand side, you see our stick man in his desired state. There's sunshine, there's palm trees, he's happy, he's achieved the change that he wants. Now, in the middle between the two islands, there is water and there is a bridge connecting the islands. Now, the bridge in this context represents how they will get from where they are now, their current painful state, to the other island, to where they want to be, to their happy, desired state. In other words, the bridge is your specific system, process, the way that you do things, the way and your specific process for how you will get them from where they are now in their current painful state to where they want to be, their happy, desired state. This is of such importance. Remember, you're not selling an AI agent, you're not selling an agency service, you're not selling a coaching program, you are selling change. And if the prospect doesn't believe that your process will actually get them the change that they want, a sale just frankly cannot be made, okay? Fourth and finally, this one's a super easy one. This is the easiest of all to understand because in real simple terms, they have to have the financial resources to sign up. So for example, if what you're selling is $10,000 and the prospect only has $4,000 to their name and they don't have access to other capital, for example, family, friends, credit, then the sale just, can't be made. And the company that you sell for, they'll put things in place, or at least the good ones, to ensure that there's the prospect who you're getting onto calls with meets the criteria, that they at least have the means, the financial means to work with you. This is called qualification. How they do that, I won't, dive into right now. But yeah, any good company worth their salt will have a qualification process in place so that you can rest assured that when you get to your calls, when you get to your closing calls, that the person at least has the money to sign up, okay? So guys, we've covered so far that at the raw foundation, a prospect has to have a desire for change. What they are buying is change, but they have to also want to change now. They have to also trust that your system and process will get them the change that they want, and they have to also have the financial resources to sign up. You tick off those 4 things in your sales process, and you ingrain this deeply into your mind, you're about to make a lot of money. And like I said before, if you want to make the big money in the AI industry doing what we do, you want to have our recruitment team do done-for-you recruiting and use our partnerships of over 500 active partnerships with top-tier AI companies to land you a top-tier role, then just click the link in the description. Watch the video on that next page, then schedule a call with our team. Not a high-pressure call by any means whatsoever. We'll just chop it up, find out more about you, run you through what we do, and see if there is some mutual alignment on both sides. And if there is, we'll obviously, talk through the details, essentially. But yeah, guys, 4 ingredients that make somebody a buyer. 4 ingredients that you need to close a sale. The desire for change now. They have to trust your system and process and have the money to sign up. We also covered the inspiration-desperation matrix, which basically says that what creates desire for change is a spectrum of pain and desire. Our job as masterful salespeople is to nudge them along the matrix. In other words, nudge them further into a high pain, high desire state. You do these things, you bear this in mind, ingrain this in your subconscious mind, and then also have a dialed-in sales process, which I've got videos about on this channel that you can go check out. And obviously the clients, we go into crazy detail on the sales process working with us, as well as we go into a lot more crazy detail on the psychology side of things as well, because it's so important. But anyways, guys, with that being said, I'm going to cut it there. Really, really appreciate you watching this till the end. Links in the description if you want to work with me further, and I will see you in the next video.